Bwahahahaha. My name is Amy2 and welcome back to Talk to Transformer. And you can see this stuff that I did earlier on this, but let's put in this one. Oh, and yeah, this thing suddenly does the CAPTCHA thing a lot more often, and it's really annoying. Amy 2 is roaming around in the forest one night when suddenly she spots some darkness and a person running away in it. She ran after them and suddenly notices that they are being chased by a person in a bear costume. Wearing the costume, the bear fights with Tony, who kicks him away from her. After a short struggle, the bear transforms into a penguin, which starts playing with her. Nina makes them fall into the water, then wakes them up with a kiss on the lips. What? They fly away, where Tony introduces herself to Jeremy and Kate, and finds out that the penguin was an E.T. was an E.T. He wears a sweater with a cat in a bathing suit and tells her that he used to live in Canada and he is still at the time. What? Let's run that one through again. Amy 2 is roaming around in the forest one night when suddenly a lady led her into the forest. She's already in the forest. To rest and show her a safer path. The lady told her that she is home, and that the lady has to meet with a king, and the two start traveling towards the city. The lady suggests that Xena should take her with her and find out where the king is. After wandering for a few days, Xena finds herself in the city. She then ends up in a religious temple where she encounters a statue of Zeus, which is clad in brown and blue robes, with a white goat tied around his neck. What? She frees Zeus by asking him to save her daughter, Megara, and then takes him home. Xena begins to lose her mind with Zeus. What? What? That's pretty freaking weird. Amy 2 is roaming around in the forest one night when suddenly a forest fire breaks out in her neighborhood. She is sent to the house of Rosar so he can be there when it is all over. And, hoping to thank him, she spills her coffee all over him. He calls her a witch, and after a fight between them, settles her down to stop a curse that is going to kill the queen's unborn child. What? During the birth, Helen unexpectedly falls off the cliff. How? Boo-hoo! Are you alright? Says Boo-hoo. Helen is okay. She has become the witch once again. That night, Boo-hoo suggests that Helen dance since she can be as beautiful as a goddess, and so she What? Moon... what? A Moon was getting his car's suspension changed. What is this? Moon was getting his car's suspension changed when suddenly he came across the skin on the door. With his left hand, he pulled it off. Then with his right, he opened the back of the car and pulled out a pair of scissors. He could feel the razor's edge against his skin, and it didn't feel like he would be able to hold on long. So he put the scissors away, grabbed his briefcase, and made his way to the back of the store. I followed him into the back, but he stopped me. This place is not really a car dealership, he says. It's an auto auction. When he had first visited it 3 years earlier, he remembered the feeling of being amazed by the slick displays of all the latest What? What the frig? What the hell? Moon was getting his car's suspension changed when suddenly his gas tank exploded. He was just clearing the driveway to get his car fixed when his boss came rushing up in a panic, yelling, "Wanna blow up some stuff, boss?" "Yeah," he said. "That's what you want to do, boss." Where's the timing? The United States federal government is spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a program called Superfund, which for 25 years has cleaned up industrial polluters by dousing their toxic messes in chemicals that kill or render unusable any living tissue. That sounds worse. Under a 1984 law passed in the wake of the tobacco industry's decades of massively adulterating products with cancer-causing tobacco-friendly chemicals. What is this? Moon always gets the best ones if his car is involved. Moon was getting his car's suspension changed when suddenly it started going poof. We started out for a short 2-lane road, and our 3-year-old got a bit of whack from something underneath the seat and had a hard time straightening out. We managed to keep going until we came to the other end and started getting the right suspension set up, and then poof, it started again. It was a bit too late to change it as the driver hadn't seen any sign of his son. He was extremely shaken up by the experience. He was from Norfolk, and we had gone to a children's birthday party for the lot. There, what? Linda Beard. Moon was getting his car's suspension changed when suddenly his wife and 2 kids ran in front of him and pinned him to the curb. He wasn't paying attention and his wife died. What?
Wait, what?
He wasn't looking and he wasn't paying attention. That's a bad combination there. So he was just trying to let go of the steering wheel, said Linda Beard. He just did not put any thought into the accident. He says he left his family after that. I spent most of that afternoon sitting in my car feeling guilty, thinking if I'm going to live the rest of my life, I might as well live it up, he said. Instead, he hit every note of a troubled, alienated young man, a meth-addicted... Wow. What a ride, eh? Moon was getting his car's suspension changed when suddenly he tripped over something and fell into the car. Just before he hit his head, just before his head hit the car, he saw a helicopter just above the vehicle. It wasn't long before he was being loaded into the helicopter. Just as Moon was about to get into the helicopter, the woman who shot him started screaming, and he fell out of the chopper onto the ground. The driver of the helicopter was extremely upset and got out of the helicopter and yelled at Moon's sister, who was waiting on the car. "Get them out of here," he yelled. She instantly stood up and left the scene. Moon's car had hit a police car, and the woman in the police car said, "I shot him," when he ... She literally just said, "I shot him." That's it. That's amazing. Moon was getting his car suspension changed when suddenly he felt something sticky. Oh, good grief. The car was front-end locked. The car felt like it had been hit from the outside. Yeah, normally that's how cars get hit. He got out of the car and checked his rearview mirror. The vehicle looked like a car wash. What? And there was a small square part of the windshield missing. He noticed this in the morning too. Kathy said, "I could not figure out why the car is locked. I got my vehicle inspected and there was no lock on the key." The case was in the light so I could see the square piece. This made me think that someone drove a car on the water. She was at a loss. So she took her car to the A and ... Slater was watching TV in the garage. What? Slater was watching TV in the garage when suddenly he realized that his 3 dogs were suddenly very loud and panting with fear. The barking suddenly stopped, and Smith could make out the person standing over one of his dogs. I yelled, "Who's there?" He said, "My name's Odom." He said he was going to take the dogs outside and kill them. What? And he was going to come back for me, Smith said. What? Smith would later learn Odom, who was a resident of the residence, with her partner and children, had come up to stop her from renting her place out. Smith later learned that Odom had picked her up from the salon where she worked. Odom quickly knocked on the door. What? Slater was watching TV in the garage when suddenly a car came flying through the window and hit a young man in the chest. What? Yeah, the car came flying through the window. What? He fell down, said Slater. He was on the floor. He was all shook up. His chest was full of blood. Well, your chest is supposed to be full of blood. You know. Slater watched the young man take off. He saw the man run west on 23rd Street. I see him running, and I realize he's going to get hit by a car. He already was! If I was in his shoes, I'd be scared. I don't think he's responsible. I think he must have been drunk, said Slater. I think you're drunk, Slater. Officers surrounded the home where the crash occurred. The gunshot victim was... Who was shot? I'm sorry, but who was shot? Slater was watching TV in the garage when suddenly it went black. The wires melted. Well, clearly you're using wires that are too small. He found himself falling through time. What? Along the way, he encountered the past, where he met Alice and Chatterbox, and a present where he met Lily and Clench. A loving brother, Dennis, might have been the closest thing the town had to a visible superhero. But he was also the least likable one. He took work too seriously and held his community in contempt. He never took chances and always put an end to things that didn't work out. He doesn't sound like a very good superhero. These things made him abrasive, and each time someone finally took too much of a hold on him, he would put them in a box. What? He would put them in a box. What is this? Slater was watching TV in the garage when suddenly the noise from the motorcycle hit him. It just went boom, Slater said. Seeing the helicopter, Slater was surprised. Oh, is it the same helicopter as last time? He quickly realized the craft he thought was a boom truck. What? Was actually a United States Air Force drone. Slater moved to his door to get a better look. I got home and here we are standing on our front steps, Slater said. This was my living room. The package on my porch was suspicious. It was a junked SNPS truck, capable of carrying several hundred pounds. Slater knew that's what the army had taken off the home, sending it to the Jun. ... I'm assuming that's junkyard, but Big Boy and Buddy were studying a sample of radium. Radium. Big Boy and Buddy were studying a sample of radium at the college laboratory. Mike took the pipe out of his mouth and put a bit of gummy bear in it. To be seen, he said. He took the pipe back from Buddy. Whoa, Judy said. She wanted to try the gummy. What does it do? Will it kill me? Will I have to be hooked up to an IV? Buddy wanted to laugh. If you know what I think it does, he said. It kills plants, he shivered. Judy put the pipe back in her mouth. She went into her room. Buddy, she called. Get me some ... What exactly is this? I'm gonna have to change this because I'm not giving results I want. Big Boy and Buddy Oh, I made a mistake there. Blasting asteroids when suddenly they see some men in costume fight, and where they fight with their swords. They say there should be some joker to fight their way through all of them. They then see Rommel versus Dubia's same makeup. They then team up to join the battle. Rommel then snipes a missile that would start World War III right away. What? He then gets knocked down to Dubia's ship. Rommel's crew manages to get him out of it, realizing there might be a mine from a 1,000-foot orbital. They will explode if they don't disable it. Rommel orders Buddy to get to some of the detonators. Buddy and the soldiers then re-enter the ship, and it is being guided. This was almost impossible to read. Big Boy and Buddy blasted and again, I made a mistake. Big Boy and Buddy was blasting asteroids when suddenly the pilot fell off. Pete smiled and shook his head in amusement. He watched on as another pyrocycle approached the area in search of medical attention. I've seen your work before, Pete said, breaking away from the TV to return his attention to the arena. He brushed off his jacket before loading an AR-15 into the boat. He wanted to avoid the kind of missiles his enemies used. Before we get started, I've got to ask, Pete said. Where were you born? Buddy asked. Waxahachie. Oh, Pete responded. Tell me about it. The men exchanged a look. Pete hopped into the trailer behind Buddy and came to a stop beside ... Big Boy and Buddy were blasting asteroids when suddenly the craft fell, screeching over a large ridge of rock. They instantly spied the three dust balls at the base of the ridge. When a group of Imperial forces, with jump packs, rushed out to investigate, the whirring craft were no longer in sight. Suddenly a bolt of bright light appeared overhead. Healers began their war cry. The sky erupted in an unearthly green color, and the Imperial force was assaulted by what appeared to be fireballs. They immediately retreated, as the swirling blackness of death swallowed the purple mass of carnage. Jumping ship dropped into an alley with a narrow path leading to the exit. The pilot ordered his forces forward. He also What? I'm gonna try to make it say Budyan again by saying Buddy met his brother. I hope that it... because I know this machine pretty well. What?! The Soviet Union... What? Buddy met his brother back in the Soviet Union for the first time in 1970. He told her, we're talking about brother here, about the Krasnodar Monastery, and arranged to spend the night. It wasn't until 3 weeks later when the young fighter had his first visit to the monastery. I learned about the monks from books and films, the 47-year-old former soldier says. When they first opened the monastery, they were selling the memorabilia and their rubbish at the market. If I was paying for my prayer beads, I was embarrassed. I couldn't believe how they were helping us. The monastery has been open for pilgrims to leave their own religious ties behind for 2 centuries and has a population of around 2,000. Is accessible by rail. What? Ah, yes, the monastery civilization. I wanted it to say Budyan. Why does it always make Russian stuff with the freaking, was driving a Lada Chevrolet car. Buddy was driving a Lada Chevrolet car with a fake license plate. He had no insurance and no registration. I didn't see them, I was distracted, he said. When he saw the police lights in the dark, he thought his car had hit a tree. What? Man, you must be drunk off of vodka. And his son appeared to have disappeared. A few days later, Buddy's car was towed from the street and used for criminal investigations. The officers returned the car, but reported the strange license plate had been removed. So not only was it fake, but it was strange. The police asked Buddy if he had ever committed a crime. He had, and they had released him. I thought I'd be better off with that, he said. But it soon turned out that he couldn't change his circumstance. What in the world? But anyway, I'm gonna have to end this video here. If you liked it, please subscribe. I make more like this whenever I can. And go look at my other videos. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.